Well, hi again, everybody. It is football time in East Texas. That means it is high school football time, and that means it is Cujo time. Now, the John Tyler Lions have always waited until the playoffs to start using Cujo on their uniforms, but I guess it's okay if we start saying that too, because the season begins on Friday night in the East Texas Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic at the stadium as the Lions host the Lufkin Panthers, and we are delighted to introduce you to, because we really didn't have a chance to do it over the summer. It all happened so fast. The new head football coach of the John Tyler Lions, Ricklan Holmes, is here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Now, this guy is no stranger to the to the blue and white. Played there, coached there. I mean, you've been there for several years, but it did all happen kind of in a hurry. I mean, talk a little bit about, Coach Rush leaves in May, I guess.
He left before May.
Before
I got
May.
hired May 7th.
All right. I forget the exact timetable. Was it late April? But just that whole transition there, it happened in a big hurry, didn't it?
Well, Coach Rush left probably about a week before we started spring ball. And that's when he made the announcement he was going to go to Conroe Oak Ridge. And during that announcement, he said that he wanted me to have the job. He endorsed me publicly. And we just went with it. We still stayed the course. We still went through spring ball, had an amazing spring ball practice. No one got injured. All the kids got better. We actually found some players that we was kind of on the bubble with, and we was really waiting on them to come into their own, and they finally did come into their own, and they showed it during the spring, and now we moved that course. I get hired. The kids was delighted about it. May 7th. And we just moved forward. We started our summer program, 7-on-7. We had an amazing summer this
Won a
summer.
national championship.
Yeah, won a national championship. Won a 7-on-7 tournament in Cedar Hill that was hosted by NFL and ESPN. Which the cash prize was $5,000. We was able to use that towards going on and going and playing in the Red Bull Game Breaker 7-on-7 national tournament.
That was in Fort Worth, too, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. The first game was in Arlington, I believe.
Okay.
And then they played it again in Dallas, and that's where we played the other teams from other regions and won the whole deal. Went undefeated.
So that's good.
Yep. And then went on down to Texas A&M and won the consolation championship bracket, because we started out slow. And the guys, and that's something that I've always been preaching on. We can't continue to start out slow and think that at the end we're going to immediately catch up to people. Right. So with that being said, they learned from that, and they came into practice. They came in that first 2 days with a different mind state.
Now, this young man is eminently qualified in football. He's been there and done that. Let's first of all start with your high school, because before we start talking about the team, we need to meet you. You played at John Tyler. What year? Tell them what year you played on that '94 state championship.
94 was my freshman year. Went through the whole freshman year. I think we went 10-0 that year, my freshman team, and he moved up 3 freshmen that was able to go along with the team, and that was an exciting deal. I learned a lot through that whole 6-game stretch that I was with those guys, and seeing them during the first 10 at practice. As we was going across the field, we stopped and we would look at them practice and see the motivation and enthusiasm that they had out there. Listening to Coach Wilson yell across the field, and the guy know exactly what he's talking about. Things like that.
And he could yell, too.
He could yell. He yelled at me a couple of times, and I learned a lot from him. Yeah. I tell people all the time, during the time that I've been around in this football deal, I was able to play under a legendary coach, Allen Wilson. I moved on and I played under another legendary coach, Bob Simmons and Les Miles. So you see the success he has at LSU.
Right.
And then going to the NFL.
At Oklahoma State.
Yeah, at Oklahoma State. And seeing the success that he had in both programs, and then making it to the NFL and playing under a Super Bowl winning coach, Bill Belichick. You can't not learn something from them type of guys. Just being around them, seeing their mannerisms, how they go about their day-to-day routine as far as football goes and life. Just taking those tidbits of them with me and putting it forth to these kids so that they can understand.
What did you learn from Belichick? I'm just curious what.
Organization. The best thing I learned from him was organization, using your time wisely. He said it don't take all day to win a football game. You know, and he was very, very adamant about using time wisely, getting from place to place to place, and just knowing that it's not about practicing all day. It's about having that great practice, that perfect practice. And he said that's what you always want to strive for. You want to strive for that perfect practice because that's going to go into that perfect game. And he said treat every practice like it's a game time situation, because when you go and get ready to play in the game, it's just like practice.
How many years were you in the National Football League?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Okay, so were you on one of the Super Bowl teams?
No, I didn't make it on that one. I didn't make it on that one. I missed out on it probably about a couple of games, and I wish I would have been on there. But coming onto the team after they won that Super Bowl, that was a big experience, because those guys, you could see it in their eyes that they wanted to win another one. And we came up short that year, which is fine. I mean, we still I think we ended up being divisional champions that year.
Right.
But you know, going through this short playoff period that we went through, that experience in itself is just amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you played, was it just New England? In your 3.5 years, who else did you play with?
I got picked up by the Browns, and then I went back. So kind of like a half and half deal.
So you got a chance to play, I mean, from Tyler, Texas, all the way to the National Football League. So that's you've seen football at every level that you can play at. So you got that perspective for your young men to show them if they really believe that they can do that. Here's what you got to do to get there.
Right? Most definitely. Anything is possible if you try. You know, I tell the kids all the time, there's no excuse for not trying. Because if you're not trying, then that means you really don't want to accomplish the things that you say that you want to. So on my board in my office, I wrote in big blue, no excuse. And the kids know that. You know, I ask them during practice, you know, hey, why'd you do that? Okay, coach, I do it next time. You know, from that time last year, they would have came up with a bunch of excuses. Well, I didn't get to see the route. Well, I wasn't lined up. I didn't know the play. There's no excuse, because everything is laid out for you to know and to do. All you got to do is just try. That's all you got to do is try.
All right, Ricklan was part of John Tyler from 94 to 98 as a player, right?
Yes, sir.
And you guys won a lot of football games during that
Yeah,
period.
we won a lot of football games that year. Like I said, my freshman year, we went undefeated. Varsity went undefeated, 16-0. My sophomore year, we went to the quarterfinals that year.
Probably should have won state.
Yeah, we probably should have won state. Then my junior year, we went to the quarterfinals, and my senior year, we went to the semifinals. So you talking about, I think, the only year that we didn't win district was my sophomore year. We didn't win district that year. We won it. We won it my freshman year, my junior year, and my senior year, but we eluded it my sophomore year. I think during the course of my 4 years at John Tyler, I think I lost a total of 4 to 5 games.
Yeah.
And most of them came from the playoffs.
Well, but I mean, and I want to know about the hunger of this group before we look at the video from Friday night scrimmage against Longview. But this group got all the way to semifinals last year, and tough night against Waco Midway. You were there.
Yes, sir.
So just how hungry is this group to take it a step further?
Hunger is not the word for it. Motivated. They are very motivated right now. These group of young men, they are coming into that form of what kids are supposed to be, you know, as far as a student athlete. They understand what it takes in the school. They understand what it takes on the football field. But what makes a true student athlete is combining that together and making sure that it works and it all goes in the same direction. And with Greg Ward and Fred Ross and Darren Flowers and Quante Woods and Justice Liggins, Chris Mob, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Bowser, DeAndre Miller. You know, with those group of seniors right there, you can't help but to have a collective group of leaders. You know, guys that you need to look up to, because they are doing everything the right way. They're doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. And by having those guys right there, it kind of makes your job easy as a coach, because you got several other coaches that are on the field right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, with them type of leaders, that type of senior class, with the experience that they all have, most of them played as sophomores. So now they're senior. You talking about 3-year seasoned veterans. I tell them every day, the sky is not the limit. You know, you need to look above the sky. You need to start reaching for those stars, because at the end of the day, it's not about trying to beat everybody else. It's really trying about beating yourself.
Right. Well, there are those out there who would say, when you talk state championship this early, that you're getting a little ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable when people talk state championship about this?
I'm very
club?
comfortable with it because, like I said earlier, it's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
That's what you
Okay.
want to do. And if you don't talk about it and you don't practice towards it and you don't put the preparation towards accomplishing that goal, then it's really one of those deals that you kind of write on a piece of paper and slide it under the desk.
Right, okay.
You know, some people's like, you know, the pressure of going to the semifinals last year, the pressure of being number 3 in the state of Texas, the pressures of everybody got you picked to win state. You know, those type of deals right there, I tell them 2 things come from pressure. 1, a busted pipe. 2, a diamond. You know, and I look at my young men as though they're all becoming diamonds right now.
That's a good line. I may have to remember that.
Yeah,
did you make that up or did you hear that from
No,
somebody?
like I say, it's a collective group
That's
of
a good- I
words
like
that I've heard people say, and I
Sure.
just put together my own words, and basically that's what it means.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And I look at my young men now as that they're all becoming diamonds because of how they are handling not the pressure but the situation. I tell my kids all the time, people don't change, situations do. You know, this is just a different situation. You're still the same team, you know, minus 1 offensive lineman. You know, you still that group that went to the semifinal. You still that group that lost to Waco Midway. You still that group that should have been playing at Cowboy Stadium. You know, so don't change you, change the situation. And that's what they're doing every day.
All right, it's great to visit with Coach Ricklan Holmes, the new head football coach of John Tyler. This past Friday night, they scrimmaged Longview at Lobo Stadium, so let's roll some tape and take a look at some of the highlights of what the Lions did in their scrimmage against Longview. Things went very well, and here you are in the white with the blue helmets, Coach.
Yeah, right here. This is something that we've been working on with our defense is the pursuit to the ball. You know, this guy right here, he made a great read, which was Andrew Clark. You know, he made a great read, but I don't think he really trusted himself when he came down through there to make that tackle. And right here, just the swarm to the ball. I love the flow. I love the sheer tackle by Richard Gibson, scraping off that.
He's your middle linebacker.
He's our middle backer.
And that's Bivens Caraway, their fine quarterback, too, throwing the ball, right?
Yes, sir. And he's a very talented young man. We've seen him do a lot of good things out there on Friday. This right here is what we've always talked about, read and drive, wrap up and wait till the other 10 guys get there. Now this corner right here does a great job. This Darian Flowers making sure he sets the edge and don't let that guy outside his shoulder, keeping them to where the pursuit is coming from the inside out with the defense. As you see, everybody's working inside out, and he just sets the edge. Wait for the cavalry to get there.
Now, Darian starts on offense, and he'll play a lot on defense.
He starts
right?
on offense and defense.
And defense, okay.
Yeah, he's a two-way guy.
Okay.
He's a two-way guy.
Now, here you are on offense.
On offense, this just shows what Ward can do with his legs if the pocket collapses. As you can see, that pocket, it didn't hold up like it's supposed to, and that's things that we work on daily with the offensive line. But when you got a guy back there like Greg Ward that can use his feet like he do, these are the type of deals that he can get out of and make some great positive yardage out of.
And we know he can throw.
Yeah. On this play right here, you're going to see his arm action as he gets it out there to Justice Ligon. And I love the yards after the catch. Coach Bush and Coach Grant, they stay on him every day about yak yard. That's yards after the catch. And that's what every day they work on. Even if they get tackled, they get up and they run another 5-10 yards.
Right.
On this play right here, they show why you can't go one-on-one with Fred Ross.
They should know that by now, shouldn't they?
You see on the wide view, the safety bit on the shallow route that we had coming from the backside. And by him doing that singled up that corner up with Fred Ross, and you talking about a 6'2", 200-pound guy that can run.
Fred's going to your alma mater, too.
Yes, sir. He's going to Oklahoma State.
He'll be a good one.
He will be. He will be.
Now, here's your running game, a little bit of that.
This is our run defense
On
defense. And the thing that hurt us last year, we wasn't very good on stopping the run. And we've been practicing going against the run since day one because we have to be good at that. And this is a big interception by a young man, Robbie Washington. He played on the JV last year. And I believe that he's going to help us a lot on Friday nights.
That's something that you guys have been able to do. I mean, you did it when you played being a ball hawking, turnover forcing group. Now, 2 years ago, what, 30 interceptions or whatever
31.
it was? 31, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, with Chris Hackett leading the way, I think he had 12 or 13 interceptions. I mean, with those type of guys that we had, with that defense, that was a really awesome defense. You know, you had a hard hit out of Tristan Wade that took care of business. And with this guy right here, he's another hard hitter. He's coming back to us. He's a young man that started out in the program, and, you know, he kind of fell side to the waist.
Who was it?
His name is Jamarcus Warren.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he decided that last year during the spring that he wanted to do things right. And he's been doing everything right since day one.
Good.
So I'm proud of him.
Be a part of something like this. Absolutely. Now you're back on offense. Greg's still the quarterback here?
No, matter of fact, we got Tyus Biles at quarterback right now.
Right.
He is our backup quarterback. And he does a great job, not just reading the defense, but throwing the ball and controlling the offense. He does a great job with that.
Which people need to remember that Tyus is a defensive end.
He is
and that's what he'll play in college, right?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Now, you used him last year on short yardage, too, didn't you?
This is him on the pursuit right here. As you can see, he's a monster coming off the edge.
Yeah. But basically, his role last year when he played on offense, didn't he run a lot of short yardage?
He ran a lot of short yardage. They called it the jumbo package.
Okay.
When they put him in the game, he basically was the Tim Tebow of John Tyler.
Okay.
Just a little foot action with Greg Ward. As you can see, he can make people miss not only in the hole, but outside the hole in the open field.
Now, keep in mind, this is Longview here. There's no slot. This is
no
shabby football team you're scrimmaging here, right?
Football team. Longview is very physical and very disciplined team. They're going to give people a lot of fits in 5A.
Now, I'm going to miss you guys actually playing them in a game this year, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be not going to be the same without that.
It's not going to be the same, but we talked about putting them back on the schedule in the future. Just making some things happen, rolling out the pocket, finding the open man, Fred Ross, and kind of like a little pitch and catch deal going on there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Fred can make a quarterback look pretty good too,
yeah.
Can he?
Yeah, he can make a whole offense look pretty good. You know, pocket collapse, he rolls out, he still got his eyes downfield. And that's what you want your quarterback to do. You want them to keep the eyes downfield, even with the pressure on them, so they can find that open man.
Now, Greg's going to University of Houston.
He's committed to the University of Houston right now.
And he ought to fit in well in that offense.
He should. I don't know if they're going to use him on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball, because he actually plays safety for us also. He plays a strong safety, which is a high safety. And he does a great job back there roaming the field, reading the offense. I mean, being a quarterback, you know how offenses run anyway. So he has a real advantage over a lot of DBs that normally play back there. There's another thing he can do with his feet. You know,
I don't know why they wouldn't play him at quarterback. I mean,
Now, it is one school that really wants him at quarterback. It's the Houston Baptist School. They are adamant about getting him to play quarterback. Most of the other schools, like I say, they label him as an athlete. So.
Well, I know he's an athlete, but he also played quarterback. Why couldn't he go play quarterback for somebody? For anybody. Robert Griffin III comes to mind. He was an athlete coming out of high school, and he did okay at quarterback.
He done a great job at quarterback. As you can tell, Heisman Trophy winner, second pick in the NFL draft.
But I'm sure he could have played defensive back for some. I think some teams recruited him for that.
He probably could have played any position on the field.
Right, but I mean, I'm sure Greg could too. He'd be a fine defensive back. But I'd be real tempted to put him out there at quarterback if I was a college recruiter.
Especially seeing what he's done on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, 5,000 yards of total offense. I mean, most quarterbacks in the NFL don't get close to that.
Well, he's such a smooth passer too, right?
Yeah.
Is that a good description?
And he has a deceptively strong arm, for his size and his demeanor.
Who scored here?
It was a fumble that we picked up.
Okay.
Great awareness by Terry Osborne, understanding that the ball came out before he hit the ground, and picking that up and scoring with it. Great defensive play by Darren Flowers. As you can see, this is why he played defense.
By the way, Terry Osborne has been a dynamite guy.
He has been. With him and Ed back there for the second time this year, it's going to help us out. with experience back there.
Who was the short pass to there?
It was to a young guy named Rodney Bendy. He's a sophomore this year. Played at the freshman level last year and done some great things last year at the freshman level. Matter of fact, he was our ball boy last year.
Was he really?
The varsity team. Yeah.
Was he playing kind of a slot or a tight end position?
He was playing the wide position, which is like the tight end.
Tight end, yeah.
And this is Reggie Gibson, which is our tailback. He also plays a little slot when we go into empty. But I think he came out the backfield on this one on the little flare route. Came in behind the backers, stay in the open hole, let Greg find you.
The scrimmage turned out to be a pretty high-scoring affair, did it not?
Yeah, we ended up in the live quarter, we ended up going 24-21 was the final.
With you guys on the upper end of that.
Yeah, we was up on the upper end.
Longview does what they do very well, though, don't they?
They do, and they are consistent with it. And you know, just their style of physical play is what we need to see early.
Yeah.
We need to see somebody that was going to line up and hit you in the mouth. We need to understand that the little things will get us beat, because Longview is great at taking advantage of mistakes that other people make.
Yeah.
And going against that type of caliber team early, getting a feel for your team, getting a feel for yourself, that's going to help us out on this Friday.
You brought up something during the video that I do remember from last year. Too often, and you won them, just about all of them, but too often last year you had to just outscore people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can just improve the run defense a little bit this year, just makes them a little bit of an improvement, make a huge difference, wouldn't it?
It make a big difference, and since day one, that's what we've been working on, making sure that we're able to stop the run, because we did a good job against the pass last year. Yeah. I mean, we didn't have the
and
amount
you forced
of
turnovers.
Yeah, and we done good in the turnover game, but it was just the time management of the clock that people were doing against us by keeping the ball on the ground. We have to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a position where our offense is not on the field. We need our offense on the field.
You got offensive line. I was looking through numbers again. I mean, you're not terribly big up there, but you don't ask those guys to do the same things that some offensive lines do you?
No, they don't have to be what we call big bullies.
Right.
But they do have to be quick, and they got to be smart. Mm-hmm. And the guys that we have up there, starting with our centers, which is Chris Starr and Emmanuel Terrazas, a young guy named Ken Holmes, Adrian Polito, who's a younger guy. He's a sophomore, but he's one of the bigger guys that we have up front. And all of them have great feet. They're all physical, but they're even more smarter than they are stronger. So with those guys knowing and understanding that, you know, it's not a lot of big things that they need to do, but they got to make sure they do all the small things to make the whole offense click, making sure they're protecting Ward, making sure they're opening the holes that they need to open, and just understanding the overall concept of the offense and knowing that it doesn't take me to push you 20 yards downfield for us to score. You know, just understanding that concept.
Right, absolutely. Just from a depth point of view, I mean, you've been around the school a long time. From a numbers point of view, and you haven't had the big numbers, do you now? What are your numbers like? And is depth a concern for you?
Depth right now is not a concern for me, because you have a lot of offensive guys that play defense, a lot of defensive guys that play offense. The only thing that you don't want to get into is your line going both ways. With the amount of skilled guys that we do have, that's not going to be a problem. Now with the numbers, yes, they have went up dramatically. Matter of fact, we ran out of shoulder pads for the freshmen. So I had Coach Castle was gracious enough to order me some more shoulder pads so that I could outfit the freshmen that's been coming in. Right now, we have a total of 49 on varsity. I have room for 3 more because I don't want to go over 52. I'm kind of like the NFL. You got to make the 52-man roster. So with that number in mind, now you give those guys that would really be a backup guy. You make them play on JV so that they can hone in on what they need to improve on. Instead of just sitting on the sideline, you need to be out there playing so that you can get better. So our JV team is pretty big right now. They're about 67 to 70 guys on JV. And then the freshman team, you're talking about 90.
You'll have 2 freshman teams then, won't you?
Yeah, you have 2 freshman teams. So you got about 90 on the freshman team, about 70 on JV, and right now we got about 50 on varsity. And
So the numbers are very good. As
Yeah.
good as that's as good as it's been numbers-wise in 10 years.
It has been. It has been, and it started this summer.
Yeah.
You know, we had over 200 kids coming out there between both sessions, morning session and the afternoon session, working out. And they wasn't just our varsity kids. You talking about incoming freshmen that were showing up and going through the same drills that our varsities go through.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, because going forward, I mean, you can't keep Greg Ward and Fred Ross forever.
Can't keep it forever.
You like to.
You got to find some replacements. And with this freshman bunch that we have coming in from the Stewart Middle School, Dogan, and Bolter, these young men, they're very talented, and we seen that on Friday, that they can pretty much play and do the things that we're going to need them to do, and they're going to improve. As long as they stick with what we're doing, make sure they continue to learn, stay out of trouble. I think they're going to help us out in the future.
Now, this is last year's helmet, and next week you're going to bring us the new one. Didn't you change up the unis a little bit this year?
Yes, I changed it up. It's a little bit of new school with the old school. Because you remember back when I was
that
playing,
leaping line has got to stay, though, right?
Yeah, there's going to be still a leaping line, but it's a different leaping line.
I mean, folks see this and they're going to go, "You got to have the."
Yeah, don't worry. We're not changing the overall.
Okay, but what's the new helmet going to look like?
It's back to the old school. We're going back with the white face mask like we did.
Okay.
When Wilson was there.
All right.
We're still going to have the royal blue, but now it's called a metallic royal blue.
Okay.
Kind of like Kansas Jayhawks.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So it has that sparkle to it. Not in the light, it looks dark blue.
Okay.
But as soon as that light hit it from the stadium lights, that royal blue just pops out.
Pops out.
Yeah.
And then the leaping line.
And the leaping line is more like the Detroit line. It has
Okay.
the virtual image and stuff in there.
Okay. All right.
And
Okay.
like I say, it's still the leaping line. We still royal blue. We got the white face mask now, and the uniforms changed a little bit this year. So hopefully, I made my guys a deal before we started the season that if they'd done a couple of things I wanted them to do, that we would probably wear the new uniforms the first game.
Really?
And out of the 3 things that I wanted them to do, so far they've done 2.
Oh, really?
So
okay,
I'm
so
waiting.
it's not a done deal for
It's not a done
Saturday.
deal yet. I'm waiting to make my final decision on Wednesday. I'll make my final decision Wednesday night when I go home.
All right.
Whether we're gonna wear the new uniforms or not.
Okay.
And to wear the new uniforms is to wear the new helmet.
Okay.
So right now, if
they don't do it, they wear the old helmet.
they wear the old helmet and the
really?
old uniforms.
All right.
And if they do this last little deal that I want them to do, then we'll break out the new helmet and the new uniform.
Now the Cujo, you're still saving the Cujo for the
That's
playoffs,
still for the playoffs.
right?
We're not changing that. Like I said, I'm changing the image, not the overall image, and I'm bringing my little own style to it. But as far as we're the Lions for now, and I tell the kids in practice, we don't yell Cujo yet. We're the Lions right now.
Okay.
And after that 10th game, and we're getting ready for the playoffs, then we can transform the Cujo.
You got about 30 seconds left. What do you expect from Lufkin?
I expect a fast team, very physical. I expect them to continue to do what they've done in the past with Coach Outlaw. Just knowing that they're going to continue to do what they do. They still got the athletes. We just have to line up, and we just have to play a little bit harder than they do. That's what we have to do. We have to play just a little bit harder than they do.
All right. Good luck. Should be fun Friday night.
Oh, yes, sir. It
All
will
right.
be.
First game for Coach Holmes and the first game of the 2012 season for the John Tyler Lions. Maybe they'll have those new uniforms on. We'll find out Friday night, 7:30 at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. The kickoff classic starts the new season for the Lions. For Coach Holmes, I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.